Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the council meeting for November 5th. First order of business, I'll ask everybody to please rise, and we'll ask Jeffrey, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I thank you for that one. Pretty good. Thank you. All right. We'll have the reading in the minutes.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we dispense.
I should be saying the roll call, right? Yeah, we should go start with the roll call. I'm sorry. Will the clerk have a roll call, please?
Mayor Petroselli,
Present.
Councilwoman Dunn.
Present.
Now for the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting.
All right, now I'll make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the October 15th meeting.
I'll second that. We'll call the roll.
Councilwoman Dunn.
In favor?
Mayor Petroselli.
In favor. All right, the first business tonight, what we'll have is a presentation of the 2021 general fund budget by our general manager, Joe Pacific. And move the camera. I'll do it for you.
In case anyone's looking, can you hear me through my mask here? No. No? Is this any better? Not really. Is that better?
That's
Okay, there we go. In case anyone's looking for a budget, typically when I do a study or when I do a budget, I hold off any paperwork until the presentation, and then we put that online. What it does come down on is a lot of crippling and so on during the course of a presentation. So once we complete this tonight, it will be online, we'll be able to see exactly what we've gone through, what we presented. Also, I'd like you to indulge me just a little bit because this is not going to be a typical budget presentation. It's not going to be filled with numbers, but it's going to be somewhat of a story to get to the 20 and 21 budget. Before I get going and start with the presentation, I just want to thank everyone who made the budget possible. Amanda Austin was here a lot of nights, a lot of weekends to put everything together for us. So Amanda, thank you very much for all your efforts during the course of this. Also the council in the course of budget presentations by our departments, and of course our leaders that are listed here as well. So I want to take us back to the beginning of 2020. Mayor Patricelli, Mayor Councilman Tonsello took office and sworn in January 1st. Mark Diamond filled out the team shortly thereafter. I was brought in on the 20th, and then on the 31st of January, our Secretary of Human Services started looking at us and pointing us in the direction of declaring state of emergencies based on COVID. That didn't halt any of the work at City Hall. We continue to acclimate ourselves and move forward towards making some changes here in the city. On the 7th, unfortunately, Governor Cuomo took a look at what was going on around the state. He declared state of emergency. City Hall was closed shortly thereafter based on directives. Mayor Patricelli acted swiftly and also declared state of emergency in the city. That's that declaration that was there. Most importantly, it was to preserve public safety and the well-being of the residents within the community. April 9th, we looked at where we were going. We started to see some changes with sales tax that was happening. We knew we were going to start seeing some issues. We put an immediate spending freeze on the city. We had to make hard decisions in order to preserve the fiscal integrity of the 2020 budget that was in place. Approvals were needed for all spending. No overtime would be allowed without proper request. We made a tough decision. The city pool wouldn't open based on how we were to operate under COVID restrictions, but also the failure of what the pool building looked like inside. debris all over. Door hinge is broken. Our roof will be a replacement of a tarp over a 3-year period. No fixing. Pure neglect, as you can see. Found a big hole in the roof that was there, covered by the tarp that used to be replaced every 3 years. Fascia was missing. Just a downward decline of one of the facilities that the city owns and operates. Now here we are today. A patch. The patch was made. The fascia was replaced. Doors are back up. Fresh paint on the walls. Something that this city can and should be proud of. I want to give a special thank you to Brandon Upton, who's actually sitting here today. He did all the scraping and painting. This was a one-man job. Brandon, you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Another place that was left in a downward decline. What it took here, you can see where our old snack bar used to be. Pulled it down, made a sign outside, put fresh flooring. Material cost $2,100, all done by volunteer labor. It's the mayor's vision and conviction that there'll be no excuses. We need to move forward. Our city residents deserve so much better. Improvements in the facilities should be undertaken, not left to continually deteriorate. I think anyone who knows, who follows quotes, and I'm a big guy for quotes, but in the midst of chaos, of course, comes opportunity. Generosity came to the city in various manners throughout the fiscal year of 2020. And that started right here with this gentleman, former City of Watervliet resident, Scott Earl. Scott's the proprietor and owner. He used to be county waste. Now he's the owner of Twin Bridges, Waste and Recycling. Came via phone call. Scott called myself one early morning, saw what our fleet looked like, and said I'd like to donate a truck to the city of Watervliet. And that was a value of $265,000, no cost to the city. The mayor and Councilman Diamond accepted the truck like that. We had another donation. It's our dog park. 3 years in the making, wondering where we were going to get fiscal funding in order to put fencing on. And then this gentleman called the mayor, John Resent, Watervliet Foundation, donated the fencing and installation. Total value, no cost to the city, $5,200. John and council. We had so many donations throughout the year. There's one more here. It's the Valley Cats. We were successful with the help of Deputy General Manager Mark Spain, Mr. Katie, who helped write the grant, put things together in order for the Valley Cats to come and donate replacement field for the girls softball team at the Civic Center. Estimated value on this was somewhere in the area of about $38,000 to $42,000. So where are we heading in 2021? We've took a hard look at staffing. We're looking at reorganizing what efficiencies we need, what we need to do better going forward. No longer going to kick the can down the road for improvements. Taking a hard and fast approach to all our city facilities, the reservoir, improve the quality of our water. In the budget, we reviewed the projected revenues and, of course, anticipated expenditures. Here's some of those changes that you'll see from the 2020 to the 2021 budget. We look at staffing here in 2021 that you won't see moving forward. In 2021, we're not pulling forward deputy general manager, recreation, purchasing clerk, part-time clerk, sanitation supervisor, part-time code official. These were all the items in 2020 was for $18,000. We reduced those down to $346,000, but adding a couple of items that we need. We certainly need help in our finance department. We're going to have a deputy finance or a senior accountant. Looking at a police recruit coming up in 2021, a fire recruit, a sanitation laborer, and a public works administrator. Again, net savings from last year to this year, approximately $72,000. There's just an idea what the reorganization is going to start to look like. This is a draft, but we'll go over this again at some meeting throughout the course of the council. Estimated revenues. Based on projections, based on COVID, based on what we're seeing from state aid and sales tax, we're estimating a shortfall of about $237,000 in our revenues. We've made some changes throughout the year in estimation. These are hard estimations. We're not really beefing up with the anticipation we're going to get it because we know what we're seeing currently. For example, court fees. We had $216,000 in the 2020 budget. We're taking a hard look at what we currently got. We're looking at about $150,000. Vacant building inspections. We've seen those slowly decline. Put a hard look on that. Lower that to $75,000. Another one that we're looking at is our court security and reimbursement. The overtime is being taken away by court administration from April, so the overtime is going to be reduced there, and some of the fees. That's going from $75,000 down to a realistic number for 2021, down to about $15,000. This line item here, which you can't see, but you're certainly able to see, is our zombie grant. It was a 2-year period. It was specifically for employee. 2021 will end that project, so we've taken it from $35,000 remaining down to $8,000. So you can see this has been a realistic approach to revenues. We're no longer going to fluff what we think we're going to get. These are hard and fast numbers from what we're seeing currently. Estimated expenditures for 2021. Administration has gone up just a little. Centralized cost, $250,000. Police, $4.1 million. Fire, $4.4. DPW, $1.3. And our debt, $695,000. It is a balanced budget. We're looking at estimated expenditures of about $12.1 million. Some subsidy revenue, somewhere about $6.6 million, which we're estimating. We're not taking anything to slide over from our fund balance. The amount raised for property tax will be $5.5 million. As you can see, that's a balanced budget, $12.1 million in fiscal 2021. So what does that mean in a summary perspective? Look at the average home estimated value of about $150,000. We increased the sales tax rate about 4.8%, which will be about $97 per year. Broken that down to a further, it'll be about $8.16 a month. Again, in here we're looking at fiscal or facility improvements, making sure we keep our buildings going forward. Next steps in the budget process. We're going to call a public hearing tonight, which will be scheduled for November 19th. We'll hold that public hearing that evening in the anticipation that we'll do a budget vote on December 3rd. Any questions on the budget? Certainly I can make myself available during the course anytime between now and November. We will have it posted online, so you can actually review that. Thank you.
Joe. The one other item that I think we left out was pretty close to the beginning of the year, where the SAM's grants from Assemblyman McDonald and Senator Breslin, probably in the neighborhood of about $500,000.
Yes, McDonald is giving us $125,000 for the fiscal year, and also Senator Breslin is $347,000. But also Assemblyman McDonald has recently discussed with us the improvements to our closed-circuit TVs within the city of Watervliet. So he's just awarded us, we have to go through the process right now, but $250,000 in which Acting Chief Strzok has been working very hard with members of his department in looking at various cameras throughout the city, so we can have a safer community. We can start looking at license plate readers. We can start looking at areas where there may be potential for crime or whatever it may be. But we're looking at about $250,000 overall from the McDonald. Again, we've also got the Watervliet Housing Authority chipping in for that. We've got CDTA, and we have the Office of the Court System as well. So that'll total about $328,000, I think, also. And that'll again be right out off the budget, no revenue from the city.
Thank you, Joe. Again, what we'll do is we'll post everything available. You can always contact any one of us for questions between now and the general, the public hearing for the budget. So with that, we'll move on to old business.
Your Honor, the first order of business and old business is a public hearing for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding proposed local law number 3 of the year 2020. This is a local law to override the tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law 3C for the 2021 City of Watervliet budget.
All right. Well, we'll open up the public hearing, and we'll open up the public hearing, and if anyone has anything, let's just step up forward.
You can step forward, state your name and address.
Anyone would like to speak regarding the public hearing for the overriding the tax levy? Hearing none, then we'll do is we'll close the public hearing.
Mayor, if I can just state something after the local law number 3 of the year 2020 was previously presented to the members of the council and was previously introduced in the previous council meeting. And local law number 3 of the year 2020, with respect to this public hearing, which has just concluded, will be on the agenda for November 19th this year for the council's consideration vote.
Thank you. Okay. New business.
Your Honor, new business ordinance number 2036 is an ordinance authorizing and directing General Manager Joseph Lasavino to dispose of certain surplus vehicles and equipment. And this is the first reading of the ordinance.
Okay, Joe,
So earlier in this year, we had an ordinance number 2030, which allowed the Deputy General Manager, Mr. Spain, and myself to actually liquidate some of the old equipment that we had. No one actually showed up during the course of the auction when we had it that day, but we did get a subsequent request to purchase one of our pieces of equipment. So this is going to authorize me to look at some of the equipment that we still have left that we've already authorized to liquidate, and we'll do what's best in the interest of the city of Watervliet residents and sell the piece of equipment.
thank you.
Do we have any idea what the value of those vehicles is, or what we might be able to get for those?
We did a best guess on it, quite frankly with you, Councilwoman. Some of the ones were left for parts and have been stripped over the years. The only one that has somewhat of a significant value was going to be our snow blower, but it hasn't run in years.
Right.
It needs brakes, it needs a lot of other things according to Mr. Cady. We've got an offer of $1,000 on the table currently. which is probably going to have to put a lot more than that in to get it running and getting it out of here.
Oh,
because
sure.
It doesn't run. So again, we're going to look at what we can get, and if we can get a little bit more out of it with the best intention, we'll certainly do so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We want to proceed?
Ordinance number 2037 is an ordinance of the City of Watervliet, New York, providing that the Code of the City of Watervliet, Chapter 260, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 4, Handicap Parking, Section 260-30C, Sign Locations, be amended. And this is the first reading of ordinance number 2037.
Anything on that?
Yeah, sure. Chief Schrock, I mean, I could speak about this ordinance, but this was a request for handicap parking. It was a handicap parking application, 1503 4th Avenue, Janet LaCrosse. So Ms. LaCrosse submitted a request for a handicap parking sign in front of her residence. So as far as our process is concerned, our acting chief, Brian Schrock, has sent an email indicating that this was a request, that the handicap parking sign application was investigated, and acting chief Schrock recommended that Mrs. LaCrosse request for handicap parking signs in front of her residence be approved. So as a result of that communication, ordinance number 2037 is an ordinance of the City of Watervliet, which amends our code to authorize the handicap parking signs in front of that residence. So this is the first reading of the ordinance. Essentially, the code is amended to add the location of 1503 4th Avenue, and if approved by the council and adopted, those signs will be put in place. So this ordinance will be on the council agenda, just like the previous ordinance and the next ordinance, for November 19th of 2020.
Okay. Thank you. Proceed on to ordinance 2038.
Ordinance 2038 is an ordinance of the City of Watervliet, New York, providing that Section 260-48, Schedule 12, trucks over certain weights excluded of the Code of the City of Watervliet be amended. And Your Honor, this is the first reading of ordinance number 2038.
Correct. Explain it. Just go ahead.
Where did you want to take that one?
I think acting chief Schrock was going to speak on this.
Are you? Okay, sorry about that, Chief.
Sure, yes. So with this ordinance, it would extend weight restriction on 2 residential streets to assist with limiting truck traffic through those streets.
Right. And it was on 8th Avenue, correct?
Say again?
It's 8th Avenue?
8th Avenue from 19th Street north to the north city line.
City line.
Pretty much the whole length of it. Right now, that restriction ends, I believe, at 25th Street. So we would continue that restriction all the way to the city line. And then 9th Avenue, that restriction right now, as it's written in the city code, is from 16th Street to 25th Street. Our proposal before the council is going to be going from 16th Street to include 15th Street. So it'll be from 15th Street all the way through to
Are these tractor trailers? I don't really know what trucks weigh, but are we talking about the tractor trailers?
Well, these are, one of the weight restrictions is 2 tons. That's for 8th Avenue. That's a pretty small truck.
Okay.
The 9th Avenue weight restriction would be for 5 tons. So yeah, it would be for
A larger one,
large.
similar to, okay.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next resolution.
Resolution number 9782 is a resolution appointing the members of the City of Watervliet Police Policy Review Committee.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on the resolution.
And I'll second it.
So Executive Order 203 by Governor Cuomo asked the cities and municipalities across the state of New York to actually look at their police departments, look at their policies, look at how they govern, and they created a police policy review committee or idea of a review committee under the executive order, and gave certain criteria for these committees to come back and meet with the council, give recommendations to change, which then has to be adopted by a council and then certified and given to the Division of Budget in order for us to adhere to the executive order. This resolution actually appoints the committee members. There will be 12 members on the committee, and they're listed here under the be further resolved. If you'd like, I could read their names into the record.
Would you please?
Yes. On the committee will be Mayor Charles Patricelli, Acting Chief Lieutenant Brian Strock, Alexander Shear with the Albany County District Attorney's Office, Anthony Huntley, Esquire. He's also an attorney with Albany County Public Defenders. These were actually required under the Executive Order 203. The remaining ones were the selected through a volunteer process, which we put out to the public for. We brought in a DBA member, which is Sergeant Anthony Hugo. Our counsel for the city of Watervliet, Lord Luan, Joan Massey, who's a Watervliet resident, Amanda Kavanaugh, is a resident also on the school board, Jasmine Norman, also a Watervliet resident, Bob Passano, resident and former police officer for the city of Watervliet, Christina Uri, and Joseph, I can probably say his name, Cohen. Those are
Joe's
the members
present
that
today.
will be adopting and approving tonight.
Joe's here.
Oh, Joe, hi, how are you?
Hi, Joe.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to thank all those that submitted their resumes and letters of interest to be part of this committee. And I'm very happy to see the ones that were selected are very excited and ready to get going, put their feet on the ground. So we're looking forward to our first meeting, first official meeting, and we'll go ahead with that. So if there's no other questions, Heather?
No, I'm set.
Okay, then I'll ask for a roll call.
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor.
The next is resolution number 9783. The council of the city of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs David Wheatley, deputy city clerk and clerk to the council, to advertise in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held in the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Center, Watervliet, New York, on Thursday, November 19, 2020, at 7 p.m. And this is for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding proposed local law number 4 of the year 2020, a local law to amend Chapter 245, Trees of the Code of the City of Watervliet.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on the resolution.
And I'll second it.
Sarah, this is a resolution that authorizes a public hearing for local law number 4 of the year 2020, which is a local law to amend Chapter 245, which is titled Trees, in our code of the City of Watervliet. So local law number 4 of 2020 has been introduced and presented to members of the council, and this local law was adopted, previously in 2018 there was a local law that was adopted to adopt Chapter 245, Trees. And one of the sections in our code is tree committee. The tree committee was established, and the establishment and the member terms were the committee shall consist of 3 members. So there has been a request to have the membership increase from 3 members to 5 members, and also, which is currently in the code, the city code enforcement officer and the general manager are also ex officio members by reason of their title. So this local law will amend Chapter 245, and if it's passed, the committee shall consist of 3 members. Excuse me, be changed from 3 members to 5 members, and also their terms would be 1 member shall be appointed for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. Those are the changes with respect to that code. And this will be, so we'll have a public hearing on November 19th, and then we'd also, I think, put it on the agenda for the council to consider and vote for it on that day.
Any other questions?
Sounds good. Nope.
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricella.
In favor.
Your Honor, the next is resolution number 9784. The council of the city of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs David Wheatley, deputy city clerk and clerk to the council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held on Thursday, November 19th, 2020 at 7 p.m. at the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center, 1501 Broadway, Watervliet, New York, for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard with regard to the estimate of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year 2021, commencing January 1st, 2021.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on resolution number 9784.
And I'll second it.
This is just a resolution authorizing the public hearing for the budget. We just had the presentation and documents will be online tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds easy enough. Well, call the roll, please, Dave.
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricella.
In favor.
The next order of business is resolution number 9785, a supplemental bond resolution dated November 5th, 2020, of the Council of the City of Watervliet, authorizing an additional not to exceed $810,000 aggregate principal amount of serial general obligation bonds to finance the cost of the design and construction of a bike path at an estimated additional maximum cost of $810,000, levy tax and annual installments, and payment thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith.
Mayor, I make a motion that we move on the resolution.
And I'll second it.
So in July, the council had passed a resolution to adopt additional funding for the bike path that, after we received bids, came in higher than we had originally anticipated. At that time, we did not approve the bond funding. So part of this $810,000 is for that, and there's another $350,000 in there for the paving of Broadway that will be done next spring.
And that's our share?
This is part of the total cost of the project. We will not be spending that much money on the project. We will get it back from the DOT and the state. Unfortunately, it's a reimbursement grant, and we have to spend that money first, and then 7 to 9 months later, we will get those funds back.
I just wanted to make it clear that it's not just, what we're paying for.
Right.
It's a process.
Mayor, where is this bike path?
I'll show you after the meeting.
No, I mean, is it a continuation of Broadway or Second Avenue?
It's what they just created out here on Broadway.
Continuation of that?
No, from 23rd Street to 4th Street.
Yeah, it comes out of the tunnel over on 4th Street.
Oh.
Yeah, it's on the eastern side of Broadway, more in line with where the 787 is. Follows that parallel all the way up to 23rd Street and makes its way over to the Hudson Shores path.
Yeah, inside the park. Really, it's when you go down there and see it, it's pretty impressive, especially in the park now. I saw I was there around noontime today, and there was probably half a dozen bikers in the park having lunch and ready to go back on the trail.
There are several people who are using that
Yeah.
daily. A
Yeah,
lot.
as for the bikes.
Yep.
Well, Mayor, I'm not too smart, but I mean, the bike path they've got there in front of the arsenal, one section there, you could drive a tractor trailer on it. I mean, who come up with these ideas?
DOT. Well, I did ask that same question
I'm
too.
glad I'm not a genius.
Yeah. Well, no. We all have you know, the same question was, why is it so wide?
Wow,
And
wow.
the answer was, that's a DOT spec, and it's anytime DOT is involved, it's a 10-foot wide trail.
And that spec is designed really for emergency services, should they have to be, depending on where the bike trail is actually installed. Should they have to get in there for emergency vehicles, they can bring them right there. Although ours is accessible right there from the street, we still have to follow their specs.
Well, I have to question where it's so wide and then it comes down to nothing. What's that all about?
When you see, I know what'll happen, I know you were talking about in front of the arsenal.
Right.
Well, that'll be more distinguished when they actually pave it and then they stripe it. When you see the striping on it, you'll see it basically in the same way as the rest of the trail.
I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Pull a roll, please, Dave.
Councilwoman Diamond,
In favor?
Mayor Patricello.
In favor.
Your Honor, that concludes the new business for this evening's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Appropriations accounting?
Do not freak out, your water bills are coming. We have received a lot of phone calls regarding the water bills. Earlier this year, we signed a contract to get new software for our accounting system. We are working out a few kinks. I am looking to be printing those bills tomorrow, and they will theoretically be in your hands early next week. That's all I have.
It's good news, sort of. Okay, that's it. We'll proceed into the public comment period. And David, you call for the rules?
Sure. At this time, the council has authorized a public comment period. If you wish to address the council, I ask that you please step forward to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes to address the council with any items you wish.
Just watch the board.
Paul Hubert, 1500 12th Avenue, Watervliet. I'd like to talk about the bus shelter on the east side of 2nd Avenue, 19th Street. It's a pretty big structure, CDK erected there. I have to question whether it's on the right-of-way or on city property. It looks like CDTA would just do as they please, from my experience. On the other side of the street, which I own, I kind of asked a question, are these people exempt from all regulations, both city and state? For example, setbacks, permits. It seems as though they just do as they please. Situation on my side, they told me they had the property surveyed, which they lied. I had it surveyed, and then when we started legal action, they came with a surveying crew and surveyed. The point is anyone on top of this situation at CDTA to see what they're doing, what their rights are? For example, they're right on the property line of my property. The drainage from the roof is pitched towards my building, hits the building, which is, I don't believe, acceptable. The point is, don't you think the city should have some responsibility as to seeing what these people do, and what they can do, and what they can't do? Would anyone look into the situation, find out what the status is? Are they, for example, are they an exempt corporation? I do not know that. I've asked that many times, even to my attorney, and he's looking into it. He know the answer on the topic. So if someone could find out some information as to what the status of these people are, whether they could just go and do whatever they want to do without consulting the city. Now, if I did that, when Mr. Gilchrist was here, he'd have me in Sing Sing. No, but this is what it is, I guess. So if someone could shed some light on that, I'd appreciate it. The last thing, and I mentioned this before, the drainage along my house on 12th Avenue, there is a tree uprooted with roots in the middle of the creek. The significance is the tree is diverting the water into the bank, washing the bank into the city culvert, which goes underneath the railroad tracks. It's not bothering me. Maybe I shouldn't mention it. And I know Mr. Lasavita contacted Colony, which is in Colony, and these people, I guess, they just don't respond. So the significance of it is the fact that when someone gets flooded up on 12th Avenue on the other side of the street, then maybe someone will take notice. But I think before that, maybe someone should do a little investigating. Thank you.
Mr. Eubank, I did, at the last meeting we had, I made mention of the CDTA bus shelter. I did reach out to the president and CEO of the organization. I also CC'd the mayor, and we didn't get the best of response from it, only to say that follow up with Jeremy Smith, who is the facilities guy there. In the email, it did say that there was a lot of public comment periods during the course of it, so I'm trying to pull whatever files we have here. But what I do know from the pecking order of state entities is you do have the state entities that are there created from a hierarchy, but that doesn't negate us from having a review during the course of it. I don't know what had happened here prior to, but we should have looked at that probably a little bit better, and we'll do what we can to look at it going forward.
Thank you. I mean, do they have to abide by permits and setbacks and whatnot?
Typically, state agencies do not. There were several projects that happened when I was up in the planning office of the town of Copenhagen, and the state did not. They gave courtesy review because of their level of authority. They gave courtesy review to the municipality. They could make changes based on any commentary given back if it in fact impeded public health or safety. But typically, it was courtesy review from the state entity to a local municipality.
So, in reality, they're exempt from permits, setbacks.
Yes, depending what it was. I'll give a classic example was the state police barracks up on Route 2. That was one that the state gave to my office. It was under courtesy review. No permits were needed for them because it was a state entity. They did all the work. They did not need any inspections by the municipality. They did it by state code. So it all depends on what that entity is. But I'll look into their status and let you know.
Well, thank you for following up on that. My situation is kind of unique. The fact is their shelter, their roof is pitched towards the building, and being on the property line, I believe there's air rights involved, which maybe the building department should probably be involved. Consequently, being pitched toward the building, the water comes off the roof onto the building. I mean, I'm not a genius, but that doesn't seem practical.
Yeah, I did ask in the course of my email that they actually moved the building 10 feet to the north of your property to take it off the building. Hopefully I can have greater conversations with CDTA as the time comes, but we'll keep you advised as we go forward.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It seems as though you're the only person that follow through with this. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if there are no other comments, then I'll close the public comment period. Just to let you know that the next meeting will be November 19th, 7 o'clock here. And thank you for coming. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, or have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Tanner,
In favor?
Mayor Patricelli.
In favor. Good night, everybody. Thank you.